Is not your traditional Hanukkah celebration. Because I don't know how to do a traditional celebration.
Everybody put the dreidels up there. Okay?
All right, now I need the dreidels. We need another dreidel. All right, now we're going to learn about Hanukkah. Long, long ago, there lived a mad king. His name was Antiochus IV. And he was so mad, this king. He thought he was God. But he had lots and lots of soldiers with lots and lots of weapons. So nobody would say it in front of him. The king's mad. They just say it behind his back. The king's mad. And one day he said, I'm God. And people should worship me instead of this other God. So he said, from now on, no worshiping God. Just worship me instead. Now the people knew he was crazy. So they got together and they formed an army and they drove that mad king out of Jerusalem. And after that, they cleaned up the synagogue and then they worshiped God in their traditional way. And to celebrate their victory over the mad king, they lit candles. For 8 nights they celebrate. And the first night, you just light 1 candle here. And then the next night, 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, 6. We'll stop at 8. And you're not allowed to light them with a match. So what you do is you light this candle first. This is called the servant candle. And then you light all the other candles with the servant candle. And the first night, you only do 1 candle. And you're not supposed to blow them out. You're supposed to let them burn out. Well, we'll leave this one up here for now. Okay? And there are games you play. This is called, Eden, would you sit down, please? This is called a dreidel. It's a top. And everybody starts out with some gold. And you put the gold, sit down, Zion, sit down, Eden. And you have 4 letters here. You have Shem, and A, and Kimmel, and Nun. And if it comes up Shem, you take 1 piece of gold. And if it comes up Hey, you take half the gold. And if it comes up Kimmel, you take all of the gold. And None, you do nothing. But as we're going to learn, that's not the only way to play. Hershel of Oskopol has his own rules. And now, one day, Hershel of Oskopol was walking along the road. The snow was falling. It was freezing cold. And Hershel was tired. But he knew this was the first night of Hanukkah. So he was waiting to get to a village where there'd be lots of candles lit. And people would be singing and dancing. And there'd be lots of great food to eat, like the latkes that Mom made. And he got to a village, but there were no candles lit, no singing. So he went down into the village and said, this is the first night of Hanukkah. Why aren't you all celebrating? And somebody said, we don't have Hanukkah here. What? No Hanukkah? Why not? It's the goblins. The goblins won't let us have Hanukkah. Every time we light a candle, they blow it out. Every time we try to make latkes, they throw them on the ground and stomp on them. Every time we try to play with the dreidel, they break our dreidels. Oh, those goblins are mean. They make our lives miserable. But especially on the nights of Hanukkah, those goblins hate Hanukkah. Hershel said, well, I guess I'll just have to get rid of the goblins for you. Oh, said the rabbi, that's not that easy. See, they haunt the old synagogue up on the top of the hill. And to break the spell, to get rid of the goblins, somebody has to go up there and spend the 8 nights of Hanukkah in the old synagogue and light the candles every night except for the final night of Hanukkah. That night, the king of the goblins himself must light the candles. And of course that's impossible to do, so there's no way you can help us, Hershel, but thank you for offering. Hershel said, ha! I can't outwit a bunch of stupid goblins. My name's not Hershel of Ostropol. Here, I'm off to the synagogue on top of the hill to get rid of the goblins. The villagers looked at him. They were sad because they thought they'd never ever see Hershel alive again. But they gave him something to eat. They had no latkes, but they gave him a jar of pickles and a bag of hard-boiled eggs and said goodbye to him. And Hershel made his way up to the synagogue on the top of the hill. By the time he got there, it was dark. And it was spooky in that old synagogue. He opened the door and it went creak. And he got in. He set up the menorah. Lily, could you sit down, please? And got ready to light the first candle on the first night of Hanukkah. So he took a match and he lit the serpent candle. And then he sung the Hanukkah blessing, which Helen is going to sing with me.
Try.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidashanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Hanukkah, which means, Lord, well, here, you've got the
Blessed
translation.
are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us with his commandments, commanded us to kindle the Hanukkah light.
Very good, very good. And then he got ready to light the first Hanukkah candle. And in front of him appeared a goblin. It's a little tiny goblin, no bigger than your fist. And he said, Hershel, what do you think you're doing? He said, what's it look like? I'm about to light the Hanukkah candle. This is the first night of Hanukkah. Oh, said the goblin, I wouldn't do that. We goblins hate Hanukkah. Well, who's gonna stop me? You little pipsqueak? And the goblin said, I may be small, but I'm strong. Hershel got a hard-boiled egg out of the bag the villagers gave him and said, are you this strong? Can you take a rock and crush it with your fist? No. No one's that strong. Well, I am, said Hershel. And that hard-boiled egg looked just like a rock, and he squeezed it in his hands, and it broke open. And he said, there! Can you do that? Nope. Well, I can. And that's what I'm going to do to you if you try to stop me from lighting the candle.
Lily, could you sit back, honey? And you too.
The goblin says, no,
no,
don't squeeze me, don't squeeze me. Well, I'm going to squeeze you as hard as I squeeze that rock if you don't get out of here quickly. Oh, I'll go, said the goblin. But before he left, he said, you better watch out, Hershel. Tomorrow there's going to be a much bigger goblin here. And if I were you, I wouldn't try to light the Hanukkah candles in front of him. But we'll see about that, said Hershel, as he lit the first candle of Hanukkah.
Lily, your hair is going to get...
And the next night, Hershel was getting ready to light 2 candles for Hanukkah. And in waddled a big fat goblin with horns over his eyes and big claws. Hershel was sitting. Lily, I'd like you to sit down, okay? And Hershel had been eating some pickles. And he looked at the goblin and said, hi, come in. Would you like a pickle? What's pickles? Said the goblin. Oh, pickles are delicious. Here, have one. And he took out a pickle and threw it to the goblin. And the goblin opened his mouth. The pickle flew in his mouth and he said, I like pickles. And Hershel said, well, I got a whole jar of them. Come take as many as you want. The goblin waddled up to Hershel and stuck his hand in the jar and grabbed a whole bunch of pickles, and his hand was stuck. He couldn't get his hand out of the pickle jar. And Hershel said, ha! I got you trapped. See, I bewitched that pickle jar. Now I got you caught, and you can't get your hand out. The goblin screamed and tried to pull his hand out of the pickle jar. And while he was doing that, Hershel said the blessing, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Hanukkah. And while the goblin was screaming, trying to get his hands out of the pickle jar, Hershel lit the second candle. And then he turned to the goblin. Would you like me to tell you how to get your hand out of the pickle jar? He said, yes, I want to get my hand out of the pickle jar. They're very easy. All you have to do is let go of the pickles and just slide your hand out. See, if you weren't such a greedy goblin, you'd have known that. You got trapped by your own greed. When the goblin realized what had happened, he screamed even louder. He said, I hate you, Hershel. I hate Hanukkah. And he stomped on the floor so hard, he broke his foot. And off he went and said, a much fiercer goblin will be here tomorrow. Watch out, Hershel. Hershel said, I'm not afraid of goblins. And he wasn't. The next day, a red goblin with 20 noses came. Hershel was busy playing with the dreidel. He spun the dreidel around, and the goblin watched him. And, now, aren't you going to light the Hanukkah candles? Not yet, said Hershel. I'm busy. I'm playing dreidel. How do you play dreidel? Said the goblin. Oh, it's a fun game. But you gotta have a lot of gold to play dreidel. You have any gold? Oh, of course, said the goblin. We goblins love gold. And he spilled a big handful of gold on the table and said, okay, now how do you play? Well, you can make a lot of money. See, you spin the dreidel, and if it falls on this letter, Shen, then you gotta give me a piece of gold. But if it falls on this letter, hey, then I get to take a piece of gold from you. And if it falls on Kimmel, you gotta give me a whole handful of gold. And if it falls on this one, none. That's the best of all. That means I give you something very, very valuable. I give you nothing. Okay, you ready to play? And the goblin said, I get to spin first. Of course, said Hershel. So the goblin spun the dreidel, and it came up none. I give you nothing, said Hershel. Now my turn. And he spun the dreidel, and the dreidel came up. Oh, hey, you gotta give me a whole handful of gold. So they played, and they played for a while, and it wasn't long before Hershel had won that whole pile of gold from the goblin. And he said, well, too bad. I guess this is just not your night, is it? But hey, maybe you'll do better next time. You got any more gold? We could play some more. The goblin growled. I hate this game, and I hate you, Hershel. No, I'm not gonna play. I'm going. The goblin started stomping out of the room, and Hershel said, please come back. It's lonely It's lonely here. I got no one to play with. The goblin didn't even turn around. And soon he was gone, and Hershel, oh, we already have a third candle there. Listen, lit the third candle. Well, every night a fiercer and fiercer goblin came. There was a goblin with 7 heads and a goblin with 3 eyes. But Hershel was able to outwit every goblin. And on the 7th night, when he'd outwitted the 7th, and the 7 candles were burning bright, and he heard a sound. Happy Hanukkah, Hershel of Ostropol! There was this great wind. Would you sit down, Eden? Great wind blew, And he said, "Who's that?" "It is I, the king of the goblins, and I'm coming for you." "Well, you're early," said Hershel. "You're not supposed to come till tomorrow." "Oh, I'm still far away. But I will see you tomorrow, and that will be your last night on Earth. You may have fooled my slaves, but you can't fool me. So enjoy your last night on Earth." And then the wind stopped, and it was silent. "We'll see about that," said Hershel. And he had a plan. The next day, he set up the table with the menorah on it and got ready to light the candles. And he left the servant candle burning and sat down by the door and waited for the king of the goblins. It wasn't long before he could feel the door ripped off the hinges, and there, in the doorway, stood the king of the goblins. And Hershel looked at it. His blood ran cold. And he said, "Here I am. I've come for you, Hershel." Hershel said, "Well, who are you?" "You know who I am. I'm the king of the goblins." "You're no king," said Hershel. "You're just a boy from down in the village. Came up here to scare me." "Me a boy, am I?" And Hershel said, "Well, if you think you're the king of the goblins, go ahead and light some candles so I can see you better. Then I'll know whether you're king of the goblins or not." The goblin picked up the servant candle and started lighting them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then his hand hesitated, and Hershel said, "Let him light the 8th candle. That'll break the spell." And the hand moved toward the final candle and lit it. "Now do you know who I am, Hershel?" "Yes, I can see you. You're the king of the goblins, but you have no power here. Look! You've lit the 8-hand Hanukkah candles. You have no more power." And when the king of the goblins realized what he'd done, he screamed, and there was a great wind, and it blew the roof off the synagogue, it blew out the walls, and even the foundation. And soon there was nothing left on the hill but Hershel and the menorah and the candles burning brightly. And Hershel waited till the candles had burnt down, and then he looked down to the village, and there were candles lit in every window, and he could see all the villagers waiting for him to come down from the hilltop. So that's how Hershel defeated the Hanukkah Goblins.
Now, are we going to eat some of the candy?
Well, you want to go? Don't you want to play Dreidel first?
Yeah, let's play it.
All right. Now, the real rules are somewhat different than Hershel's rules.
Somewhat.
Somewhat different. Hershel's rules are like heads I win, tails you lose.
Yeah, most certainly.
But here, you can each spin a dreidel. There should be another one.
You didn't have one.
You have one. You can spin it. You can spin it now.
I'll take this one.
You can spend one.
I got. I don't know the. I don't know.
What
the
happens if you get this one?
All right, that's Shen.
Yeah.
And that means you can take a piece of candy and eat it.
Yeah, what's this?
Alright, and this one?
All right, what's that?
Okay.
That is Kimmel. That would normally mean you can take the whole pot, but just take one and eat it.
Hey, you didn't
I'm gonna
have-
save
You got
it.
Shen, which
Hey,
is
Tom.
one.
I'm
And what do you
saving.
got? Oh,
Saving
you
this
got none. That
Why
means
don't
you
we
take
move-
nothing.
Yeah.
Do it again. Do it again.
I'm saving mine so I can have a big pot.
Oh, you got
Wait,
Shen. You
you
gotta
don't have
take
bucket, do you?
one too.
Put it in your pocket.
All right, now here's what I'm gonna do.
No, you
I'm
don't
gonna
get
give
another
the
one. You only
rest
get to
of
spin it
the
once.
candy to Mom, 'cause if you ate all this candy,
I don't want one.
you'd be sick.